Hi everyone, and welcome to the Mind Body Mountain podcast. I have a question for you. Have you ever reacted strongly to something, only to look back later and wonder, why did I get so upset? Or perhaps you felt totally justified in your reactions, but are tired of always riding an emotional roller coaster. Maybe you've even noticed physical signs like a racing heart, tight chest, shallow breathing, anxiety or headaches when you're upset. Today we're diving into this incredible mind-body connection, exploring why it happens and how the internal family systems approach can help us understand what is happening and how to calm everything down. For those who aren't familiar, IFS is a therapeutic model that views the mind as made up of different parts. Each part holds its own thoughts, feelings, and memories. We'll explore how understanding these parts can help us feel less emotionally reactive and more grounded. Let's start with the basics. What is emotional reactivity? It's that quick, intense emotional response to a situation that often feels automatic and overwhelming. In IFS, emotional reactivity happens when a part of us, often a protector or firefighter part, jumps in to manage what it sees as a threat. These parts are trying to help us, but sometimes their reactions are too strong for the situation. Let's take Julia as an example. Julia grew up with a father who saw immense potential in her. He was very proud of Julia and loved her deeply. He would spend hours diligently pointing out ways she could improve her homework, her hobbies, or just about anything she did. Although his intentions were good, he rarely balanced this with praise or acknowledgement of her successes. Over time, Julia began to interpret this approach as evidence that she wasn't good enough and didn't have many successes to celebrate. By adulthood, her father's well-meaning critique had left her feeling overwhelmed and put down. Now, when Julia's work is criticized, even in a constructive way, it triggers a part of her that carries the belief of inadequacy. A protector part jumps in to shield her from reliving those feelings, and she reacts strongly, sometimes shutting down or lashing out. This is an example of how our past experiences shape our parts and influence our present reactions. In Julia's case, the part of her that feels I'm not good enough is an exile. It holds the deep pain and sadness of not feeling valued for who she is, only for how she could be if she improved. When her work is criticized, an angry protector part steps in to shield her from this exile's pain. This protector interprets the criticism as a personal attack and lashes out, redirecting the pain outward by framing the colleague's feedback as flawed or unfair, perhaps even escalating this opinion to seeing the colleague as flawed and unfair. While the angry part's intention is to protect Julia, it also keeps her from addressing the deeper wound of feeling inadequate. But this isn't where the cycle ends. After lashing out, Julia might feel overwhelmed by the intensity of her anger. That's when another part, a firefighter part, steps in to soothe her distress. For Julia, this might take the form of binge-eating chocolate. This binge-eating firefighter provides temporary relief by numbing her emotions, but it's not long before her angry part returns to chastise her for this behavior. The angry part criticizes her for overindulging, adding another layer of shame and frustration. This illustrates a few important points. First, a single trigger can activate multiple parts, leading to a cascade of big emotional reactions. In Julia's case, the criticism activated her angry protector part, which then triggered her binge-eating firefighter, creating a complex web of emotions and responses. Second, this dynamic impacts Julia's nervous system. She might experience physical symptoms like a racing heart, tension in her chest, or shallow breathing as her body reacts to the perceived threat. And third, her mind and body are working together for a short-term win. By reframing the situation as, the boss is mean and unfair, Julia's parts protect her from the deeper pain of feeling inadequate. However, this strategy isn't sustainable and keeps her stuck in the same reactive cycle rather than addressing the root of her distress. Understanding this dynamic is key to reducing emotional reactivity and creating space for lasting healing. It's important to remember, reactivity isn't a flaw. It's a protective mechanism. So, how do we work with these parts to reduce reactivity? It starts with recognizing them. Here are 3 steps you can follow. First, pause and notice what's happening. Start by observing your nervous system. Are you experiencing physical symptoms like a racing heart, tension, or shallow breathing? These are signs that your nervous system may be dysregulated. If you're not in immediate physical danger, this strong reaction is likely an overreaction from one of your parts. Once you've noticed your nervous system, take 3 deep breaths to help create some space. Then, shift your attention to your feelings. Ask yourself, what am I feeling right now? Is it anger, fear, shame, or something else? Reflect on your thoughts too. Are you using black and white thinking or words like always, never, or everyone? For example, Julia might think, my boss always criticizes me and never appreciates my work. These patterns often indicate that a reactive part, such as an angry protector, is influencing your response. This part uses exaggerated language to validate its feelings, but it can also distort the truth and escalate the emotional response, making it harder to address the actual situation calmly. Identifying that your nervous system has been triggered and your thoughts are leaning toward black and white thinking is a huge step forward. Awareness is the beginning of healing. A big tip is that a part will often communicate with us in a similar way each time. By learning to recognize and interpret its set of signals, we can begin to better notice which part is present at any given time. I have developed the Bessie system. You may remember it from the episode, How Meditation Helps with Internal Family Systems. Well, let's try it out on Julia now. In Julia's case, B for behavior, she slams her pen down, crosses her arms, and sharply interrupts her boss to defend herself. E for emotions, Julia feels a surge of anger, frustration, and resentment toward her boss. S for sensations, her heart races, her chest tightens, and her stomach feels knotted. S for self-talk. Her internal dialogue becomes black and white, critical and defensive. My boss is always picking on me. Why can't they just see how hard I work? They never appreciate anything I do. I for imagery. Julia pictures herself being fired because she is not good enough to do her job. You can see here how the underlying exile has revealed itself, the I'm not good enough part that is worried she will lose her job. I have to say that this work is incredibly insightful. After you have carried out the Bessie acronym, you would then move to the next step, which is taking a moment to bring to the fore your true self. The true self is the calm, compassionate leader within you, the part of you that can observe without judgment and offer support to your parts. To access your true self, it is again all about the mind-body connection. So you would call to mind a safe place that you have already developed as the go-to scenario when bringing to the fore your true self. It is also helpful to say a predetermined mantra, such as, I am powerful in my calm, confident, and compassionate true self. You'll notice that your thoughts and your nervous system are now moving into a calmer place. When you feel centered in this mindset, you're ready to approach your part with curiosity and care. Now that you've identified the part, approach it with curiosity and compassion. Ask gentle questions like, what are you trying to protect me from? Or, what do you want me to know? This step is about building a relationship with the part so it feels seen and heard. You need to know what this part is fearing and how it is working to stop this happening if you plan to ask it to allow your true self to take on the role in a more healthy way. For instance, Julia's angry protector part might reveal it's shielding her from feeling inadequate, a pain rooted in past experiences. Stay open and avoid judgment. I would recommend listening to the episode on 8 crucial questions. It will help you to know what to ask your part and why. Now that we've explored how to recognize and engage with your parts, let's look at some practical ways to incorporate these insights into your daily life. The first tip is to build a profile and backstory for each part. Take note of what it says, your thoughts, how it feels, your nervous system, and how it makes you behave. The more familiar you become with each part, the easier it will be to recognize its presence. For example, if a part often uses black and white thinking, creates tension in your body, or triggers migraines, you might start to recognize this as your angry part. Over time, you'll become more aware of its presence, allowing you to detect it sooner and respond in a more thoughtful and grounded way. Second tip is to prepare for situations that might trigger you by creating a safe mental space. This could be an environment you visualize, such as a beach, forest, or meadow, where you can connect with your true self. Take time to get to know this space during moments of calm, so you can return to it quickly whenever you need to feel grounded. Imagine yourself in this place whenever you feel overwhelmed and allow its calmness to center you. Pair this visualization with a simple mantra, like, I am powerful in my calm, confident, and compassionate true self. By practicing this regularly, you create a reliable refuge to support you during challenging situations. The third tip is to work on building up your true self. Strengthening your true self helps you lead your internal system with calm and compassion. The Mind-Body Mountain offers guided meditations and theory episodes designed specifically for this purpose. These resources can help you connect with and grow your true self. You can find links in the description. The fourth tip is to recognize a part when it walks into the room. Spend time fully understanding it through guided meditations or reflective practices. Try to uncover what the part is protecting, how it feels, and what it needs to feel supported. For example, you might learn that an angry protector is shielding an exile, holding feelings of shame. Offering validation and care to this protector can allow it to soften, creating an opportunity to work with the deeper wound. This step takes patience, but is a key element of healing and unburdening your parts. The fifth tip is to spend 5 minutes each day noticing your parts and how they feel. Regularly tuning in helps you build awareness and strengthen your connection to your internal system. Let's recap as we've covered a lot. Emotional reactivity comes from protective parts. You can reduce reactivity by recognizing your parts, approaching them with curiosity, and leading with your true self. Remember, every time you connect with your parts, you're building a pathway to greater emotional freedom. Why? Because they are feeling more and more understood and supported, and so feel less of a need to carry out the work they do in such an over-the-top way. So, try the techniques that we have discussed the next time you feel reactive and notice the difference it makes. Guys, we've come to the end of another great podcast. If you found this helpful, please boop the like button, subscribe, and share your thoughts in the comments. That's all for this episode. I'll leave you in the capable hands of your true self. Take care of yourself and your inner family, and I'll see you next time.